Very good morning to all of you. Very pleased to have all of you today to discuss on a new topic for today. My name is Nupur, and I am pleased to be the moderator for the session. Today, our topic is menstruation and sports. This webinar series is a series of webinars on the sports parenting. We call it PathwayZ webinar. The idea is to help sports parents on their journey to help kids play more and more sports. And this is just an attempt on behalf of Sportz Village to curate industry experts on different topics to talk to us, give their insights on a variety of topics which parents generally need help or support on. So today around menstruation, it's a very special topic because it's one of the topics that people are very afraid to talk about, but it's unfortunately a major barrier in girls' participation on sports. Various studies show that there's a drop-off in the sport participation among adolescent girls. 7 in 10 girls around the world do not play sports when they are menstruating. So it's a very alarming fact. And we are on a mission to get kids play. And if half the population is not playing, that's a serious concern for us. So firstly, a very warm welcome to all my panelists today. It's an eminent panel today. First, like to introduce them. We have firstly Niharika Donela, who's a professional athlete herself. She has gone through this journey. She plays boxing. She is already a junior level silver medalist, world level. Hi Niharika, welcome to the forum. We also have Ragini. She is the lead exercise physiologist at Inspire Institute of Sport. She has been spearheading this very project on menstruation at IIS. So kudos to you, Ragini, and looking forward to hearing all your insights today. Thirdly, we have Shivani from PSafe. She manages brand communications at PSafe. Shivani, welcome. Again, PSafe, as we all know, is a personal hygiene brand, and PSafe has been doing a lot, both in terms of products and CSR to help girls in this journey. Lastly, we have Kalpana ji, who's a mother to a very charming young lady who's gone through this. She has a very recent experience in this, so we'll love to hear your story here, Kalpana ji. So again, welcoming all the forum, all the panelists. So let's kick off, and I would like to first kick off with Niharika, who's a professional athlete, and Niharika, your team tells us that you are already a very, very aware athlete today. You have been today making all the right decisions to help you manage your athletic performance when you are, menstruating. But how was it, just want to take a step back, hear your journey. You started to play at the age of 5 years. That's a very, very young age. And from 5 years to today, you went through this cycle. How was your experience? Can you just talk to us on that?
First, my parents have always been a very big support in my sports career. Like from the day I've started until date, they have been a biggest support. They have already thought me at the very young age, I knew I was going to face this one day, and they had well prepared me. We are 4 sisters, so they have educated us all before. One day this is going to happen, and I even after they have told me, I was not when the day I got my first period, I was not at home, I was in a hostel. So even before going to the hostel, my mom told me one day you'll have to go through this, and maybe you'll. So she taught me everything, how to use a pad, all, and what all problems I would be facing. So it helped me my journey, and on my first period a bit easier. But still, I used to get a lot of cramps, pain, and I would not be able to train the first few months. When I got my first period, after the first few years, it was very difficult. But through time, I started to manage it. With experience, I got, and I learned how to deal and even perform the best, even when I.
Fantastic. So yeah, first few years you said are tough. And that is the crux of the problem that we see, because if we don't get the support in those few years, right? Then we are seeing girls drop out. So, anything, Niharika, that you can tell us that helped you in that journey? What kept you going, and any advice that you can share with your fellow athletes who are wanting to step up but are facing challenge?
In my journey, I have not seen anyone drop out because of this. Because like even me, I have got a lot of support. Even other children. I was in hostel when I got
Yeah.
it like the first time, but like even I have had like my juniors boxers like who after coming to here in IIS, like there are 2 3 girls who got their first period after coming to the hostel. So like I had my seniors, and like even they had us,
Hmm.
so we
Hmm.
help each other out. But even like parents, I feel like they need to be open and free to talk about it. Many are not, because like I'm very
Hmm.
free with both my parents. I'm very free and I can talk to them, so they
Hmm.
know. So I feel like even parents have to start conversing about period normal, like it's
Interesting.
just normal and it's not some taboo.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's an important point that you're bringing out, Niharika, that parents, your peer group, everybody around you, basically it has to be a normal conversation, right? The shame, the taboo has to go out, and we should have more and more conversations like what we're having today. And that actually a good segue to Kalpana ji here. You said parents have to be more open about talking about it. Kalpana ji, how's your experience been? It's been a successful journey for you from what we spoke about earlier. So, what helped in your view, and again, your 2 cents to other parents on this topic?
So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kalpana from Hyderabad. On my first note, I want to thank Sportz Village for giving me the opportunity to speak, to share my experience with you, all of you as a parent. So, my daughter, she's 13 years old. She plays basketball, and still she's playing, and she's playing since 5 years actually. So my this thing, we as a parent, I strongly recommend that we need to encourage them, educate them, and give a good. Should have a talk with the kids, with the girls especially. So it is a common cycle that happens for every girl. So we have to talk with them, and we should tell them that there is nothing to panic about it. So just go with the flow, and it is somehow we I feel that we have to talk with them and educate them. And what I did for my daughter to encourage her was, we joined her for the basketball coaching. So, and we talked to the coach also, so that she is comfortable during the classes. And we made sure that she's playing with the same age group and skill levels kids. And she opted on her own as a basketball as her school sports program. So, and other thing, what as a mother I have taken care is the food habits.
Hmm.
So we cannot totally avoid the junk. As
Hmm.
kids we cannot. So
Yeah.
I somehow we have to control that. So what I did is control on the food habits. So avoid as much as junk possible, like burgers, pastries,
Yeah.
and soft drinks, and deep fried foods, everything. And I we gave a good diet, like which includes boiled eggs, sprouts,
Hmm.
fruits,
Hmm.
vegetables. So everything I have taken care as a mother to her.
Hmm.
And the important thing is I followed. We have to tell them to have the food timings also have to be maintained.
Hmm.
So this is what
Got it.
I have taken care, food habits, and talking to her regularly, telling her, educating her, so that she does not drop out and she still continues playing basketball.
Got it. Very
And
interesting. Thank you for that. I think two very important things that you talked about. You brought in another important stakeholder, which is the coach, right?
yeah,
When it comes to sports, the PE teacher is on the ground, and in our experiences, we have seen girls being shy on talking about it with their coach, and
Hmm.
the PE coach, even if he or she wants to. unless the girl speaks up, then the coach feels that he needs to step back, and then the conversation never happens. And generally 80% of the girls we see are just not playing. They just say they have cramps, they're not feeling well, but the real reason doesn't come out, and the coach is not able to support. So it's like, no conversation, no solution.
So we as a parent, Nupur, we made sure that we talked to him, and if at all she has any problem or she's uncomfortable, express to the coach, so that we have a male coach. So we told her it's okay, it's nothing, you can speak. So that made her comfortable. So the comfort zone is also has to be there.
Got it. Again, a brilliant segue to Ragini. Ragini, as a coach, if I can call you, right, or a support staff, how important is this role of a coach? One, and you obviously come with a lot of medical background, of physiological background. If you can share more insights to us on what a girl goes through, and how can we support them to make sure that they don't drop out?
Yeah. Thank you, Rupu, for your question. So the thing is that, when it comes to sports training, from early years to the, longevity of the career, a coach is in very close proximity to the athlete. It's truly like a mentor and disciple relationship, right? So a lot of time, when they join an institute at a very young age, or a coaching center, or like sports coaching center which is dedicated to any sport, when the athletes join at very young age and they start their journey, so of course they're away from parents. Like Niharika mentioned that she was at hostel. So when they're away from parents, coach is also in some or the other way become their guardian. So coach, of course, mentor, guardian. So in a lot of way, their support is substantial and unmatchable, is what I would say. So of course they have to understand, how different could be a need of a female athlete as compared to the male athlete. How do you communicate differently with a male athlete and the female athlete? You can't be, you can say, talking to them the same way, or just, a coaching style can also vary. You can coach them differently just for coaching to be more effective. So a lot of factors comes into picture which underlines the same, thing again and again, that yes, the openness to have this conversation should be from both sides. The athletes will also be able to be comfortable to share the menstruation journey with the coach, and say, to also understand that it is natural and it is a healthy sign, and it's only to support the normal physiology of how woman is built, right? They should also be welcoming and supporting their whole training program accordingly, the training load accordingly, so that whenever the woman's body is changing over years from one period to other, because not even for one person or one woman the period would be same. Every period is different. Even a period of month of January would be different from the period of month of February or December, so to say. Right? So it will differ person to person, female to female, it will differ month wise, year wise, everything as they're growing up, right? So the understanding is required at every stage, and if little bit of understanding would change the whole scenario, is what I would say.
Got it.
Coming to physiology of, you can say, what is that how can we provide them more support. So of course the first, it starts from understanding their own physiology, their own journey, because like I just mentioned, every menstruation is different, even for the same woman or same athlete, right? Second would be, to identify if there's anything related to their menstrual journey or menstrual history which needs extra attention or focus, like if the menstruation are regular, and how is training load affecting their menstruation cycle, because it's just not about those 7 days of bleeding, 5 to 7 days of bleeding. It's also about the rest of the month, which are your follicular phase of the periods, which are your luteal phase of the period. So that monthly interplay of hormones that is going inside a woman's body, every day would be important if you talk like that. Because yes, there are phases of the whole, you can say, female cycle that way, right? So we need to understand how the interplay of hormones is looking like. What is the nutrition, okay, that athlete is undertaking? How well is she eating? Is it a type of any disordered eating? Is she eating well? How is the metabolism type of that particular female? Because especially when it comes to the sport, which are weight category sensitive, that means an athlete has to play only in a specific weight category. It doesn't happen that a 65 kilo player will be playing against 70 kg or 65 kg athlete, right? It's not happening. So there's a particular weight category sports, especially like wrestling, boxing, judo, even weightlifting, where you don't have an opponent, but you still play in a weight category. So in such sports, weight management, which I would like to speak about here, is a very important aspect, because if you can't manage your weight physiologically, then again, the implications would be there on your menstrual cycle. And if that goes haywire, again, it's like a domino effect. One thing affects another. So yeah, I mean, that's how the support has to be multidisciplinary, in multi-direction, that everything is in normal physiological range, and that will actually contribute to, an overall good longevity of a female career. And again, let's not forget the biggest fact that an athlete is also a life. They're human beings first, they're normal individuals first. They do have a life apart from sport. They may be really good at, some job if they end up doing, because every, length of career of every athlete will differ. Some may have injury, they may have to drop out because of injury later. So here we are looking at making, their life sustainable, a healthy lifestyle, rather than a few years of focus or few years of result.
Interesting. Lot of great insights there, Ragini. Thank you for sharing. Obviously, one is the emotional side of it that the trainer needs to be aware of, but also the physiological, which you mentioned, right? That it's not just those 5 days, it's before, after, how is that, how do you manage the training load? How do you manage nutrition across this cycle? It's great insights. Thank you. But tell me, so let's say there is a grassroots female athlete, or who's just starting out, and one is an elite athlete. How open, or what is the difference you see between these two when, as a coach, you try to mentor them on aspects of menstruation? Is it, because younger girls who are just about doing it, elite athletes, I'm sure, like people like Niharika, more aware, as you had mentioned earlier. But when it comes to the younger girls, how is their attitude? How receptive are they when, when you are talking to them on aspects like these?
Yes. So it's a very, valid question, and something that really need to be spoken about. So of course, where an athlete is very young, they're just taking up the sport, or they're trying to develop interest in it. And at the same time, it's a schooling age, they're living with their parents, a lot of is happening, they're making friends. It's a very dynamic age, like you say. So of course, it's very different for them as compared to an elite athlete who has almost explored themselves, have decided on a sport to stick on. They know their strengths and weaknesses and everything. So this is the major difference when it comes to the younger group versus the senior athletes. And hence it also influences, of course, the amount of awareness, education about their own body, about periods, about their menstrual hygiene. And yes, at times they might not come as open as senior athletes about, their periods or their body undergoing that continuous change, the physiological change, which is again natural process. But yes, I mean, they still might not be open about it. So there comes a very important role of education and communication, awareness, of course. And because if in that age, if they're more close to their parents, so again, parents have to, start having that conversation very early, or at least when they think it's right for their child. And I would say not just mothers here, of course, a majority of them will also be, these conversations would be started by mothers. But I would really like to emphasize that this is a time where fathers also have to start having that conversation, because
Yeah.
the best is that I mean, any child or any athlete should be very comfortable speaking about it to both of the parent. So this is what we are looking at, and I mean, if that happens, then it'll be a game changer. So yes, they need more focus as compared to the senior
Yeah.
athletes to open up and to speak about it more boldly.
Got it. So openness is important. I think that's been a key highlight across all three of you who've spoken so far. You need to educate, and openness not just with parents, but also, and not just with, let me start with mothers, but also fathers, but also the coach, but also your peers and everyone. So education is important. And Shivani, I'll come to you on that point then. Education, how do we educate more and more girls about that, more and more the whole entourage, right? Not just the girls. And PSAFE has been doing a lot of it to uh, create this education. Can you elaborate a bit more on your work so far, and how else can parents interested in it reach out to you?
I think it has to initially start somewhere, and usually for most people, it's either their schools or their families. But looking at how things are slowly starting to change, people are actually getting more comfortable having these conversations with their children, which wasn't so, say, like 10 to 15 years back. So most people got, awareness about periods, say, through their friends or these seminars in schools, but the conversation at home was still very limited to, say, whether or not there are enough pads at home or something like that. But the education aspect always took a backseat. So nobody would really educate younger people about what to expect in terms of, mood swings, or what to expect in terms of the rashes and everything. So even the most fundamental information was almost trickled down. It wasn't given very freely to children. I would say that. So at PSAFE, we noticed that when we start having these conversations, initially it's very awkward for both the parties, like the person who's receiving the education and who's giving it. But once it starts, like once you get that conversation rolling, it becomes a lot easier. So with our initiatives, we've sort of worked with schools also. We've had seminars and webinars and all those things in schools. We've worked at the grassroots levels also. We're also working with NGOs, and we're trying to not just educate people about, say, the science behind it, the hormones and what to expect, and what a typical cycle looks like, but also other things such as the products that they can use, what are the small changes that they can do in their lifestyle. So all of those things, and a more holistic approach, I would say. So just to make it clear to the person who's probably just starting out with their periods, that even though it feels very new and intimidating, it's not something that can overpower everything else that they're doing. So there are like tools, there are like things that they can do to sort of make it a lot smoother for them. So I think that's how it starts. The education aspect starts somewhere, and starts at different place for different people. Say if I'm a person who's already working in the field, I'll find it a lot more easier to approach this topic than someone who's not similarly got that education themselves. So we sort of have to break that cycle where, we're ashamed about it and we are trying to give just the bare minimum information. We really have to start having an open conversation and invite the questions from the person we're trying to educate. So that's very important.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I can speak for myself. You spoke about conversation about menstruation has increased with parents. Yes, in my case, yes, but yeah, you're right. I mean, talking about mood swings, even I don't think even till the time I got married, I was aware of, yes, something like this does happen. Like, yeah, it happens. But I think I got more and more aware that this is a true fact. It's not just something which is story, right? And when it comes to sports, if you're not in a good, we talk about confidence, we talk about, all the mental health aspects on sports. And if you're not in a good mood because of the physiology, how do you perform? And Niharika, maybe a question to you, right? Does that affect your athletic performance? Or has it affected any experiences?
Yes, like when I'm not mentally fit parent when I'm going through period cramps and all, like when I don't have the support I need, uh, I am I in the starting stages of my career I would not I was not able to perform that well, and I've even lost in 2-3 trials due to that. But with experience and like communicating and like getting to
Hmm.
know and doing proper things has led me to perform well even when I'm on my period.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it's a difficult one, right? I'm feeling myself how difficult it can be to be a professional athlete. So great. On that note, I'll just leave it to if uh, our parents have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the Q&A box, and we will come to you as we go through the webinar. So just please drop in any questions. So Shivani, you talked about education and also that we need to be receptive to questions on what kind of questions people have and just answer those. Tell us about some common myths girls generally have on this topic.
So there are a lot of myths, but since we're talking about sports in
Yeah.
particular, I think there's a very what do you say, a very extremist point of view when it comes to working out on your period, that some people believe that it's a complete no, it just doesn't have to be, it has to be done. But while the others think that, it's absolutely fine even if you're pushing yourself and all those things. So I think both of those things are somewhere a myth, because everybody is different, and everybody experiences periods differently, and everybody has a, even the cycles vary for the same person. So
Hmm.
sort of having a standardized answer for that is very wrong. And while we should be having, tools, and we should be having products that allow
Hmm.
people to perform their best,
Hmm.
and we should also be having the provision of people sort of telling others that they're not feeling that comfortable that day, or they're having very bad cramps. So both of those things should be accommodated for. So I think that's a very important discussion we need to have in this area in particular, that people need to sort of understand that the experience for every menstruator is very different, even across the cycles. So just because a
Hmm.
person, say, did not have very bad period cramps earlier and suddenly has started to experience them, we
Hmm.
should invalidate that by saying that, usually your periods are not that bad, what's the issue with you today, or something like that. So I
Yeah.
think that's a very important thing. Myths wise, there are tons. Like people believe that using, say, a tampon or a menstrual cup will, make them lose their virginity, which is not true. It's just a product that you're using to sort of take care of your periods. So that's a very common myth. Other
Hmm.
than that, myths such as you should not be eating certain things on your periods. And while that may be true for things which are like outright junk, which are
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
not healthy for you, it's true for that.
Hmm.
But it's also a very like, even for everyday stuff, people have these myths that, eating this might make their cramps a lot worse, or
Yeah.
preventing themselves from doing a certain activity will make their cramps a lot easier, which is not true. It's like it's all determined by factors which are not as easily influenced by, eating something or not eating something.
Got it. Interesting. We have one question from the parents, but I'll come to that. Before that, I have one question because you spoke about, Shwani, that every menstrual cycle is different. Even for one menstruator, the experience can be different in a different period, right? And Ragini, you also spoke about it briefly. Uh, and I want you to, maybe speak something. You spoke about it with me earlier that in India we have this culture that, you know, whatever happens, so be it. Just go for it, right? As a sports person, you're expected to perform whatever happen, whatever be the input metric, right? That kind of culture is there. So do you see that in how do you see athletes, female athletes go through it? Are they like, I should not talk about it? It will seem as a, let's say, a weakness. And how do you handle it as a coach? It's very difficult, as I can imagine. Yeah, your 2 cents, Ragini.
So, yes, I mean, it's like I said earlier also, it is pretty very common that they would, first of all, they would not come up with it. Plus, there are, you can say thoughts that are running in generation from one after the other, the myths about periods, or, the belief systems, especially in sporting, population with respect to periods. that they would want to just the most common is that no, however pain I have, I will do the training because that will make me stronger. I mean, of course, the flip side of the coin is okay, you might still have your periods during your competitions, which is out of your control, and not every time you can take, you can say, hormonal tablets to shift your periods prior or later to the competition. It's not always correct to do, or it's not always advisable. Right? So they push themselves extra, but it's also important at the same time to understand that taking one day of rest, once in a month, especially on your first day of period, which is believed to be a bit of heavy to go with for any female, if you say, it's causing no harm.
It's okay.
One day will cause you no harm. Your body can take that, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I would say it as every female athlete should take it as a blessing that you're getting one day extra of recovery, one day that you can rest your body, one day you can just relax your body and let it be.
Yeah.
And always support yourself. So that's how it should be. I mean, one extra as compared to any other male athlete, so to say, right? So yes, this is one of the things. And also, it's believed that the harder you work, it's kind of punish and reward, thought process at times, which is also underlying all of this myths or beliefs that, I think that is something really needs to be changed, that it's nothing to do with all of these thought processes. It's just a natural things. If natural thing, and it's factual, and every factual thing should be dealt in a very factual way as well. So if it is a fact that it happens, then okay, you can do the factual solutions, you can do what right, you can, talk to your peers, you can talk around, and you can say, make yourself comfortable experience of that 4 days of every month, because menstruation in every female's life is quite long. If you count every month, every 7 days of a month would be approximately 10 years of menstruating.
Wow, when you put it like that.
Right. So yes, I mean, that's a one thing about it. That we feel it, we just like to talk them, we make them comfortable. We try to, even in a normal conversation, I try to break the myths. Like I said, that no, this is not, one day is not putting you behind as compared to the other athlete. One day is giving you that rest your body actually needs. So, yeah, I mean, again, communication is a key to break all those things.
Got it. Thanks. So I'll take the questions that we have. Firstly, what is the best age for sports girls to start using tampons? Maybe Shivani, you will be better positioned to answer that.
The best age, there is no such defined age, I would say, as long as a person is comfortable and they want to willingly try it and they have the right guidance, of course, because I think the younger you are, the less you know about your own body. So it's always advised to first go to a gynecologist. I think that is a thing that every menstruator should do. Right when you get your periods, just fix that appointment and go with your parent to a gynecologist and just discuss it with them, because so many times this happens that people get very nervous and intimidated, and insertion products particularly can cause a lot of anxiety in people. So when you're that young and you don't know about your body, it's always advised to sort of do it with the help of someone, like at least consult a gynecologist, and if they think that tampons are the right thing, you can start using them. There's absolutely no issue with that. And I would say that being in the right frame of mind is very important, and thinking that this is an insertion product that will help me take care of my periods. That is all it is, and that's a very important thing to do. But I think early teens is when we advise menstrual cups also. So tampons are also fine to use at that time, unless somebody is obviously uncomfortable or they want to use pads. That's also perfectly fine.
Got it. Thank you. So building on to that, Shivani, are there any, you mentioned tools, knowledge repositories that us, the sports parents who are attending today can refer to, any tools that you can mention that could help them?
By tools, I meant products and resources. But yeah, if I think the most credible source obviously would be to talk to your doctor. They they will help you inside out. That's the most important thing, I would say. That's a very good starting point also, because children also have a lot of questions that they feel very uncomfortable asking their parents sometimes. And even though those questions are very natural and there's absolutely nothing to be ashamed about, but sometimes it's easier to ask those questions to a person who's wearing like a white coat. So I think taking your child for that consultation would really help out. I think I went for that consultation when I was 10, 11 when I got my periods, and it really helped me look at it in a more scientific manner and understand that, there's nothing to be ashamed about. It's absolutely fine talking about it. Cramps are normal, pain is normal, telling your teachers that you are in pain is normal. So I think that's one of the most important things that completely changes how we look at periods from, say, a lens of stigma and taboo to a lens of looking at it more scientifically.
Interesting. Interesting. And when you say products, are there any specific products beyond the pads and the menstrual cups which can ease a girl's participation in sports?
Yeah, so in fact, pads sometimes tend to bunch up or, get crumpled during activity and everything. So what we have noticed is that people prefer using menstrual cups because they provide 12 hours of protection. So once you sort of insert it properly and it's in place, you can go and, swim, you can run, you can do whatever you want to for 12 hours or so, depending upon your flow, obviously. If you are, if you get slightly heavier periods, you might have to sort of empty it more frequently. But other than that, there is absolutely no other issue that you face which you might face with pads. So there's no rashes, there's no odor, none of those things. And people don't have to be focused on sort of things like, are they getting a stain or not, or, are they adequately protected while they're playing or not, because they don't have to worry about any of those things. So menstrual cups so far we've seen are the most comfortable for people. Other than that, tampons too are quite popular because, you can swim with them and they're an insertion product. Similar things, there's no worry about odor, there's no worry about rashes and everything. But if I have to recommend it to someone who sort of plays for an extended period of time and who's comfortable with insertion products, I would I would pitch a menstrual cup, simply because of the number of hours you're protected for, and how much how less you have to think of stuff like rashes and stains and all those things.
Interesting. Got it. Thank you for that. I hope you got your answer the question was answered adequately, Mrs. Harivarshini. If anything else, please feel free to drop in the questions. Kalpana ji, I'll come back to you now. You've heard so much from everybody, from an athlete side, as from a support staff and product side. As a sport parent, any second level thoughts, questions that come to you?
Nothing, Nupur, as of we are benefited by enrolling her for sports. So I see a lot of difference in the physical fitness. So increased stamina, her focus on not only on the sport, towards the academic side also. So they have to focus on academics also. So it was like when she's playing sports and coming back, the focus on that also has increased. And immunity wise, health wise, immunity also has increased. And her periods, everything is regular now, and she's able to manage properly. And other part is she is having less cramps, or she's not feeling uncomfortable during those days, because of the physical this thing what's going on during the period. So she's not feeling uncomfortable, first thing. So we somehow happy to see that she's playing and she's good and she's staying fit.
Got it. In fact, that's so important that girls are not playing because of periods, but if they play, it's actually beneficial for them. It's actually helping them reduce the effects. Right?
Yes.
Got it.
And other thing is the approach and the moods, everything what we say, the crankiness also has reduced. So she's very, very polite, to be frank. So in that days, in initial stages, like when I used to ask, how are you, how are you feeling? used to say, okay, fine. So
Okay.
on a period of time, that has reduced. What I observed was it reduced. And as parents, we both talk to her. As you mentioned, father also has to be a part. So my husband also makes sure that he talks to her. How is she feeling? So anything from his side, anything she wanted or has to be done, he
Mhm.
ensures that it is done to her.
Got it. That's good to hear.
Thank you.
Cool. Ragini, Niharika, any last thoughts from you? Any maybe last takeaways? For me, the takeaways has been that nutrition is important. Nutrition, hydration, all of these are important things to help you manage your menstrual cycles. Any other things for a young athlete, Ragini, that you recommend for them to do to ease this journey for them?
Yes. I think more or less the major point of today's webinar has been open communication.
Yeah.
Of course, yes, with parents, with friends, like Niharika also mentioned that they do support each other. So yes, of course, you have to do that with your coaches also. And secondly, yes, I would like to highlight the importance of nutrition because this is your growing age. Your bone is growing, your body is growing, you're increasing in muscle mass, everything. So what you actually will bother about probably 3-4 years down the line, oh, I want to get bigger and stronger. So the nutrition starts at home. Nutrition starts with your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, your proper meal. Supplementations and eating protein, big bars and all that will always be secondary. Supplement is supplement. Eating a proper meal is actually your beginning of your health journey or your fitness journey in all the true sense. So of course, yes, hydration, be it summer, winter, monsoon, you have to be hydrated, because don't forget that your body has all the time is circulating blood, and blood is itself in a liquid form, right? I mean, that says it all. That says it all.
Yeah.
So you have to be very, very well hydrated so that you do not have muscle cramps, you do not fatigue early, you can, perform far, far better, and overall your recovery would be so good, no matter how hard you work. But if you can't recover properly, then your body will not adapt, your muscles won't adapt, and you would not grow as an athlete, especially with respect to the fitness aspect. So yes, I mean, you can say these are the 3 pillars if we are talking about this thing. And yeah, I mean, that's how I would like to sum up that. Be open, eat well, recover well, take care of your body, and not just one sport, play every sport that you can. Think of an overall development. It's not always correct to think that, okay, because just you have started to play table tennis at the age of 5, which is so early, then you will 5 or 10, whatever. I mean, and you will have a long-lasting career because you can say mastered the skill of that sport from a very young age. No, it's not true. The best of the athletes till date in world are those who have played a lot of sport in their youth, in their young age when they were children, and then they finally selected one. Even if you ask Niharika, she has also played different sports in her youth and young age, and then she got committed to boxing. And look where she is today. Of course,
and she has a lot more to go to. So all the best to her.
That will be my 4 key points to the parents, that be open about menstruation, support each other, eat well, hydrate well, and play variety of sports.
Got it. That just sums up so beautifully. Thank you, Ragini. Niharika, any last thoughts, any final advice for athletes, parents?
Nothing, as Matt said, like play different sports. Like even I, at the age of 14, I started boxing. Before that, I was into gymnastics, swimming, handball, volleyball. Like playing different sports has helped me like choose a sport. Finally, and like now I'm in boxing and I've like achieved a lot, and like I have a goal now. But everything that has helped me who I am today is like my parents had given me the choice. Like they had never pressurized me. Like they have let me choose my own sport. Like whatever I wanted to do in my life, they have left it to me. They just gave me the options, and I was the one to choose. So I would like to tell that like when you give us options and like you don't pressurize us, that is when we grow.
Got it. Awesome. That's a great note to end this session. Thank you so much, everyone. I think it's been an enlightening session, at least for me. I don't know about everybody, but thank you, everyone. It's been a great mix of having all of you from different sides speaking about it, and I hope it helped sports parents. Yes, to all the girls and parents, be open, talk freely, nothing to be ashamed of, eat well, hydrate well, and just play. Not big. Don't shy out, because it will only help you further to actually combat the side effects, if I may say so. So thank you everyone for coming out and talking to us. Pleasure to have speaking with you today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. And we would like to thank you all from the Inspire Institute of Sport staff group and athletes that we could come here and share what we are doing here today. And you have my email, Nupur. If anybody wants to connect for anything else, then please freely reach out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Shivani. Bye.